Today we're going to make muscadine jelly. And the things you'll need is a strainer, pectin, it's a grabber to get the jars out of the water, cheesecloth, your jars, sugar, butter, a big pot to cook your muscadines in to get the juice out of them, and your can air. And of course your muscadines. The first thing we're going to do is wash them and cut them together. I like to start out with smaller batches just because I feel like I have more control over the recipe instead of big batches. So what we're going to do first is just juice them. So I'm rinsing them really, really good in the sink, and then I'm just going to make sure that I pull all the stems off. We actually planted our muscadine vine probably about 3 years ago. I guess I would need a good knife, huh? About 3 years ago, and we didn't get anything off of it the first year. We actually bought it as a clearance vine. I love them very much, but I'm cheap, so it was on sale for $3. I said, oh, I'll bring it back to life. That's usually where I buy most of my flowers, is in the clearance section at Lowe's. And so I bought it and we planted it, and we didn't get any muscadines last year. Maybe a couple. Like, I got to eat a handful, like cutting the grass, riding by the vine, because there's nothing like a good muscadine right off the vine. I actually like the green ones better, and I didn't realize that this was a purple one when I bought it, but it didn't matter. They're still good, but I just like the green a little better. So I'm just splitting these after I've washed them. If they have a stem on it, I'm taking the stem off. And I'm also pulling out any bad ones that I see. I'm just going to split them. So I'll be back with you when I'm done with this. So now we have all the muscadines cut up, and we're just going to cover them with water. You don't want too much water because you want more of a concentrate. You want more of the juice from the muscadine itself. Now that we've got that in there and covered, I'm going to take this and we're going to boil it. Once it comes to a boil, I'll turn it down to a simmer, and I will cook it for probably about an hour just to get all those juices going. And as soon as it comes to a boil, I'll also take my potato masher and mash those berries really good. Just try to get some more of the juice out. So we started boiling, and I'm going to just show you, I'm just mashing. It's real steamy, sorry. That's all you're going to do is just mash. And I'd say mash until you feel good about how much mashing you've been doing. If you got some aggression, work it out. Right now I got some virtual school aggression. It's so fun. I love when my kid moves his head to the side and picks his nose. And I love when he's 5 and can't sit in front of the computer for 4 hours, but he could sit in front of YouTube for 3. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so just keep mashing until you feel good about how you mash. I feel pretty good because, like, if you can see, the skins are kind of getting hollowed out really well. So then we're just going to boil it and get the juices flowing. Probably another 25 minutes or so. Next, we're going to strain the pulp from the juice, so we can then use the juice to make the jelly. To do that, I'm going to use my strainer. I'm just going to dig down in here, and I'm going to strain as much of it out in the pot as I can. And then I'll put the muscadines into the cheesecloth and get any other pulp. I meant juice. This strainer's pretty tight, so I don't think I'm going to get any juice out of it actually. Probably should let it cool down a lot more than I have. Because when you go to squeeze, it's extremely hot. So we're going to do this with all the pulp. We're just going to squeeze all the juice we have until we come up with 5 cups of juice. So your 5 pounds of muscadine should make 5 cups of juice. So now that we've squeezed out all our muscadines, we have our juice. It actually made 5.5 cups of the muscadine juice. I've started boiling my lids to get the glue hot. I got a little juice in the bottom of the pan, but look how pretty that color is. It almost looks like paint. And then I've started boiling my jars. I'm going to use the 4-ounce jelly jars. And so I've started sanitizing those while I do my muscadine recipe. Okay, so I have now put 1 tablespoon of butter into this pot. I'm going to melt it down. It's softened butter. It doesn't have to be soft. It's just been sitting here a while to get it going. And then I'm going to pour my 5 cups of juice into the pot. I love my Pampered Chef batter bowl. I'm just going to melt it down, that butter, and then I'm going to go ahead and add my 5 cups of sugar. This is my small batter bowl and it only holds 4 cups. So I went ahead and measured out another cup in a separate. Oh, I like my Pioneer Woman stuff too. I'm just going to stir it, and we're going to melt that sugar down and bring it to a boil. And once we've done that, we will add our pectin in, which makes it jelly. It jellifies. But it has to come to a boil though. So this will take a whole pack of pectin, and I'm just using the Sure Jelly. After this starts to boil, and I put the pectin in, and it cooks its allotted time, then I will take these jars out of this and set them to the side, because I'll do this in a water bath. You don't have to use your pressure cooker. You can just use a regular boiling canner. This has enough acidity in it that you don't have to worry about pressure to can it. It does fine without it. It doesn't have to have the extra preservatives. We got it to a good boil now. I'm going to add the pectin in. It boiled for about 5 minutes before I added this pectin. And now that I've added it, I'm going to get it to a boil again and make sure it's all dissolved. I'm going to let it boil for 1 minute. turn my heat off. And then we'll get ready to jar it. Okay, so I've just pulled my jars out of the sterile water. You want to make sure that your jars are hot, because if you're taking your hot liquid and putting it into a cold jar, it could bust on you. So make sure they're still warm. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to just funnel it into these 4-ounce jars, and it needs a little bit of headroom. So I just bring it to that lower rim. Just making smaller jars because this is my first time actually making the muscadine wine. Muscadine wine. No, I'm not making muscadine wine. I don't even drink muscadine jelly. These will be my taste test jars. I'll hand these out to everybody and ask them what I need to do differently, if anything. Once I get all these filled in, I'm just going to wipe the rim with a wet cloth. Make sure it's not sticky or have any impurities. And put the lids on them. And then I'll put them back in the water bath for about 10 minutes. This one could use a little bit more. I haven't used this small of a jar in a really long time. I use my paper towel holder to put my rings on it to hold them. It's easier. And then I'll just take them and put them back down into the water so I can do the water bath. And then we'll check them out after they seal.